Good evening, I'm Vikram Oza, and tonight on The Big Question, we're looking at the shockwave that one AI announcement has sent across the entire global tech ecosystem. Because with a single move now, Anthropic has taken AI from being this helpful feature to what many are calling a threat to the very foundation of the software services industry. So what exactly has happened? Let me just walk you through it. Anthropic has rolled out this new automation tool for enterprises. 11 plugins for its Claude Cowork agent. And one of them can review legal documents, it can run compliance checks, even draft the briefs. So in plain words, it's doing all the work that once needed entire teams to do. All of it can now be done by an AI module. And that's got the world asking whether this is the beginning of AI replacing, not assisting, replacing the human-led service delivery system. Something that India offers in big measure to the world. So if you go by the way that the markets have reacted to this, it certainly seems they think something big has changed. Indian IT stocks have seen, and you're seeing it on your screens, we've seen the steepest one-day fall in years. The IT index has gone down 6.5%, TCS, Infosys down more than 7%, Wipro and HCL following suit. So it has been a bloodbath when you talk about the IT pack, but globally, Accenture and Cognizant, these two have tanked overnight. Analysts are calling this, and this is going to be a tongue twister, a SaaSpocalypse. Yes, taking away from apocalypse, but investors are suddenly now pricing in a future where large chunks of coding and testing and analysis and compliance work, all of it may be done by AI agents instead of armies of engineers. And that cuts right to the heart of India's IT model. 60 to 70% of revenue still comes from traditional people-heavy services. If clients can get the same job done through AI automation at a fraction of the cost, then what happens to the outsourcing model? What happens to millions of jobs? What happens to the economy that has been built around them? And there is another side to this as well. This could be the wake-up call that Indian tech has required for a good period of time, a push to pivot, and to pivot fast towards AI-first platforms, towards cloud automation, proprietary models, vertical solutions, massive reskilling, and global AI partnerships, something that India really needs to do according to some experts. And as NVIDIA's Jensen Huang is saying, AI, he says, is not replacing tools. He says AI uses tools. So that's an important piece to start. So at this point, when we are discussing the big question tonight, the debate is this, that are we at an inflection point? Is this a threat? Is this going to be a disruptor of sorts? And which is why the big question about Anthropic's new AI tool, is it going to be a huge threat to software businesses, that entire model that India has built and is outsourced? As far as the world is concerned, we are concerned to be the outsourcing hub. Will we continue to do that? We have an excellent debate and a panel to discuss this with. Let me introduce you to them. With us this evening, of course, we've got Raja Lahiri, the partner at Grant Thornton Bharat. Sandip Agarwal is with us as well, fund manager and co-founder at Sowilo Investment Manager. Jamila Saiba, associate director for AI and public affairs at The Dialogue. And Dhruv Salvadi from the core team at the Esports Federation of India, ESFI. Great to have you all with us. Let me begin by asking you, Sandip, and very short reactions just to set the tone, if I may ask you all. Sandip, is this market reaction abrupt, do you think? Or do you think it's disproportionate? At the end of the day, a single product announcement has been made. So investors, they were simply waiting for a trigger, you think, to reprice the entire IT services model? Because some are saying that this is a huge kind of reaction. Maybe it wasn't warranted.
Hi, good evening, and thanks for having me on the show. So, absolutely. So, this reaction, I was waiting for a long time. I was expecting this to happen long back. Unfortunately, it has happened today because, yesterday some announcement has been made. But I firmly believe that, all the repetitive tasks, everything, the efforts will go down by 20-30%. So, the world has changed. We need to change, and there will be a substantial cut in efforts going forward. With this disruption. Because it is a short reaction, I will stop here.
Yes.
I will come back.
Yes, let me just have this go across to Jamila. Jamila, does this announcement take AI across that critical threshold from being that helpful embedded feature now becoming a direct competitor to the very businesses that once hoped to monetize it?
Right. Thanks for having me on this big question. I think for India, this moment is less about collapse and more about inflection. I think that the traditional IT services models do face pressure if AI agents do tend to reduce the need for repetitive coding, maintenance tools, tasks, etc. But that does not automatically mean decline, in my humble opinion. I also feel that AI can also enable a shift towards higher value services, which could include system orchestration, domain-specific customization, and others. And I feel that the key risk will be inertia, and we need to sort of move away from headcount-led growth to now maybe reframing ourselves as AI leverage partners and not just execution engines, in my opening remarks. Yeah.
Inflection point is what we are hearing from Saiba, but let me take that across to Dhruv as well. Why is this moment being pegged as this looming apocalypse for the tech industry then? Can AI actually upend the large parts of the IT services business model as we know it?
I think the current models which we have in place, as the other panelists have mentioned, they're quite headcount heavy. So AI is indeed giving us an inflection point where now we can focus less on the execution and we can actually focus more on the design and the architecture of what we're doing. The more we focus on, the foundation of what we're building, the more people are able to architect, and the more these AI agents are helping us really automate a lot of these tasks and take away, these menial, repetitive tasks. So I think there is going to be a short-term impact, but long-term, we're going to get really good quality gains. We're going to see really good, improvements in the quality of the output which companies, come out with. And we're also going to see improvements in, the work-life balance for employees because they're able to do more with, by using these various AI tools.
But that is exactly in question, whether we are going to require that kind of take over by AI. Raja Lahiri, where do you stand? With these new plugins, they're enabling the Claude Cowork to interact with internal systems and software tools and workflows. So one wonders whether Anthropic is effectively pushing AI from the advisory mode into that execution mode, which is going to change and really disrupt the IT industry.
No, absolutely. I think definitely this is a very, very important point in this journey because this is going to happen, and we were all talking about it. So Anthropic definitely will make an impact. And I always say that the proof of the pudding is in the eating, because you also got to make execution happen. Because businesses are dependent on execution. So you got to make sure that this translates into execution, which provides business outcomes. So that is important. The proof of the pudding is the eating. The second point I would just like to highlight as your opening remarks, markets react, but organizations respond. If you look at the Indian IT players, they have been investing significantly on AI. In fact, there were large acquisitions they have made. And I'm quite confident that this is a journey of evolution of the Indian IT tech as well. So you got to respond to this and not get flustered by what's going around.
So you're saying this is evolution. This is part of how AI was supposed to move. And we are seeing that happen right now. But Sandip, given that 60 to 70% of Indian IT revenue still comes from traditional human-led delivery, are the markets signaling that this labor-scaled model has hit a ceiling?
No, Vikram, I think there is a lot of confusion around this. And see, I have run an AI company in 2008. So I have a long experience of going through all this. So let me put it this way that, the least impacted, if at all, will be Indian IT services, to be honest, because, see the nature of the business which we are doing. Our contracts are 5 to 6 years. So every year you will have 15-20% renewal, and those will get, renegotiated in terms of effort. So what is happening is that, in past, every disruption which has happened, after 2-3 quarters of reskilling, we have come back with a much stronger execution and much more work. And because of that, those memories are there in the people's mind, investor mind, analyst mind today also. The only challenge to this thought process is that this is first disruption, which is itself, challenging the amount of effort required. So there is a short 20-25% decline in efforts. But good part is that decline will happen when everything gets renegotiated. So it will take 4-5 years. So every year we are talking about 4-5% impact only. And I think, Indian IT companies definitely can, recoup with this with more work. So I would say that the biggest disruption will happen in the ERP providers, the likes of SAP and others, and then we will be probably on the least of the impact. But also the challenge is that what happens is when these front end companies, they get impacted first, they lose everything in 1 year and then everything goes to rebase. While in our case, it will be a slow death in the sense that you have to recoup that 3-4% plus you have to grow on top of that. So even if you grow at 10%, it will show up as 6.5, 7%. So, that is more painful for the investor community. So I think we are in for a lower growth for a longer term of period, 4-5 years at least, versus, all these SaaS and other companies, which will take a knock in next few months, few quarters, and then they will go for a reset. So that is the way I see the whole industry.
So you're saying this is going to be an incremental kind of change for the IT pack. Jamila, what's your sense? Anthropic itself is warning that AI-generated legal analysis, that's the one that we are talking about right now, it must be reviewed by the licensed attorneys. But does it even suggest to you that the checks and balances are going to limit the speed of displacement, if at all you see it as that there is going to be huge displacement? Or is this just a temporary guardrail they're putting out?
Right. I feel that with any sort of AI use, it's important to always focus on the human in the loop, which is something that Anthropic has also highlighted. But to come back to the baseline of this discussion, which is this a structural threat or is it another tech shock? I'd say that, what has happened has sort of raised the ceiling on what AI-assisted software creation could look like, right? And it's not just about an extension level event. I think it's about how to sort of, redirect our energies into sort of ensuring how we invent with the tech, how we create value with the tech, and how that is captured and sort of passed on. So I think with every major abstraction jump that has happened from higher level programming languages to cloud infrastructures to low-code platforms, etc., we've always seen compression of certain margins while expansion and overall demand has happened, right? So I feel that for incumbents, for Indian companies to survive, they will need to adopt to better pricing models, better bundling intelligence with workflows, so better workflow integrations and moving up the value chain in a lot of ways. And I think the open question will still remain whether autonomy at the agent level fundamentally shifts bargaining power from the vendors who were earlier providing these services to now buyers who get to have a more flexible say in what they want to opt in, right? Yeah. And it will also translate a lot into the way trust plays out in all of this. So I think on your question, I think human in the loop will remain to be an essential factor, but I think the disruption is very much real, and what it looks like in the future will be more of a structural reshuffle than a complete wipeout, I feel.
A structural reshuffle is what you're expecting because of this disruption, but not so much on the human factor. Dhruv, viewed from a global technology perspective, which is coding and testing and documentation compliance, how quickly do you think can AI agents meaningfully replace the high volume tech workforces, according to you? What do you think?
I believe that with AI tools, while, currently we've progressed so much in the past few months and years that it can write, test, deploy, and even maintain software systems, I still feel that there's a lot that it cannot come up with on its own. Even with, the latest improvements to some of the latest AI models, they're not always perfect, with their outputs. I've used various coding agents and, they work, they're great when they work, but they still, leave a little to be desired when you get into the complexities of things. So I believe, building upon what Jamila and Sandip were saying, that human intervention and oversight will always be needed, whether it's to set up, to monitor, and, to, in general, to command and use these AI systems. So I definitely think that India's software talent is going to have to move more towards, actual design and architecture, with as the AI can, they can take over the implementation and the execution, right?
So AI will take over the execution work. That actual workforce is going to be required for that, but building the architecture is where the workforce needs to move. Raja, do you agree with that? You work closely with India's tech leaders. Are they prepared for a shift from the outsourcing-led revenues to the platform-led AI products, or you think this has caught the industry flat-footed right now?
No, Vikram, I think, first of all, this was discussed and eliminated at the highest level of Indian IT industry in 2017. So it's not a new thing,
Yes.
as I see.
But the reaction is very new.
Reaction of the markets is new, of course, and the speed of change is definitely very fast. That's no doubt on that. And that's what I said, that firms need to respond to that. So if you look at very closely on the numbers, right, the hiring of the Indian IT industry has come down. The net hiring was 17 people last year. So that is a real fact. So hiring has definitely come down. Why has that happened? Because there is global uncertainty, there is a pressure on the revenues, and there is AI coming in. So it's clear that you don't need that kind of talent to do the same kind of tasks that you were doing before. But what it means that you have the tools to do the repetitive tasks. And as I think all your panelists are saying, the talent is the key. We need to move the talent to business outcomes and higher end. And that's where Indian IT needs to play that role. So for me, the key is not the tool, the key is Indian talent skilling.
Right.
They need to be the center point of making sure that we sustain and grow with this AI journey.
Sandip, what do you say? Are these clients now starting to move technology budgets away from the managed services? Are they moving them towards automation tooling? And if they do that, how much of that revenue risk are we really talking about over here?
No, so as I said, Vikram, it is a gradual thing. And as also Raja and other panelists mentioned, I agree a lot with what Raja is saying. All the Indian tech companies, let me tell you, Vikram, one thing, and I have been tracking this space for 25 years. Indian management in IT services is the best in the world. No one can even come close to us. We are most agile, most efficient. So no one can touch us on that front.
Okay.
The only thing is that, these people also have realized this, and what they have smartly done is that in last 2 years, they have allowed natural attrition to continue. And because of that, if you see, there is no meaningful addition of manpower in last 6 to 8 quarters. So if you think from one perspective, I think they have taken whole business model in stride, and they have done a lot into that. And that's the reason we are not seeing pain in EMIs, or everything is going on time, right? People are not lost job and anything. Second, this thing has come at a point where our economy is so good from the JIG platform and JIG and other platform businesses that they are absorbing a lot of people from this industry.
Yeah.
So what is happening is, what we are not able to recruit, a lot of that talent is being recruited by the platform. So it is a perfect integration of both the system. One side, our platforms are doing phenomenal. On other side, our IT services industry is pivoting to the new requirements. So I think that we will do fine. Only thing is that we have to bring down our expectation of growth for next few years for the large cap companies. At that size, we can't grow at 10-12% and all. We should be more reasonable and expect single digit growth for the large companies. That is all I would like to submit. And I don't see much risk on the profits also. Honestly, the margins will be okay.
Sandip, you're saying the margins are going to be okay, but you tell me at this point in time, the impact of this, how is it likely to play out? If we are talking about that compression happening on margins, incrementally even, does that really require a re-rating of IT stocks at this stage itself?
Yes, so re-rating was overdue in my view. If you see, I have interacted on your platform also a few times, and I have always said that I am not comfortable. I am very comfortable with the business model. I have full trust and confidence in the business leaders. My challenge is that you can't assign, the kind of multiples which you are assigning. You have to look at the PEG ratios and not the P ratio. Challenge is, everyone is seeing the P ratio and they're saying, okay, for this kind of company, 18 times is fine, 20 times is fine. But the PEG ratios have moved from 2 times to 5 times because growth has come down so much. So de-rating is definitely overdue, and it will continue. So we are in for a low growth for a longer term. So I think X of currency, the growth should be single digit. So the P multiple, what you want to assign is the investors and fund managers call. I wouldn't assign more than 12-13 times forward earnings to large caps, wouldn't assign more than 15 times to mid caps, because otherwise I won't make money if I assign more than that. What is there for the investors then?
Fair enough. But Jamila, since we were talking about that recruitment picture, now at this time, we have been talking about an Amazon, a Pinterest, Oracle, all of them cutting tens of thousands of jobs, and they're citing efficiency and AI alignment as the reason for the layoff. So are we entering this phase at least where the white collar tech roles are becoming structurally vulnerable at this stage? And if so, what is the kind of shift you are expecting?
entry-level engineering roles in traditional campus hirings will most certainly feel the pressure. But I think, plus one to what some of the panelists sort of highlighted, that the ladder into the industry may narrow at the bottom, but it will continue to stretch at the top, in my humble opinion, I feel. And this will sort of be propelled by the need to reskill fast enough and to sort of do that at scale. And I think what will be critical and what remains to be a risk for India isn't that India runs out of software talent, as was also highlighted prior. But I feel that our risk will be that if we mismatch our skills to demand during this transition phase. So I think that is going to be critical for us to do as we sort of proceed forward.
Dhruv, as someone who's working with the digital native industries, tell us about this moment. What does it tell us about the future tech talent? Are we preparing people for the wrong jobs right now?
I don't think so. I think people are well aware of what AI is bringing to the table. I think now more than ever, especially seeing all the market shocks, I think people are, getting their feathers rustled. And I think this is the perfect opportunity for individuals and companies, if they've not gotten into AI, to definitely get into AI. Because more than ever, it's becoming really important for people to better understand how things work fundamentally.
Yeah.
Right. Because as we can see, AI is able to do a lot of things.
Yes.
It's able to execute, if you give it instructions.
So even if you're seeing it as a disruption, you're saying it's a perfect storm. Raja, what's your take on that? Because Grant Thornton's own research is saying that India must pivot to AI first and it should do it at scale. What does that mean in practical terms? Are we talking about massive reskilling? Are we talking about proprietary models or partnerships? Where must India start tomorrow morning?
No, I think India has already started. I'm absolutely confident on that. The budget very clearly laid out the importance of the AI mission. India is hosting the world's one of the top AI summits in the next couple of weeks. So India is definitely on the journey. I think where clearly the call of action for all of us is, in any organization, if we are not making AI mandatory in your business processes, and if you're waiting things to happen, I think that will be a massive disruption in my view. So you've got to make it inbuilt in your business processes. As far as the Indian tech players are concerned, I guess very clearly it is going to be a tough moment, because customers will demand low cost, higher outcomes, and efficiency. The third, I guess, and coming back to the question of skilling, which is academia, businesses, industry, partnerships needs to come out very strongly, because if we are following the same method of education, clearly it's going to be a massive impact for us.
Right.
So that is not happening. So the Indian government, along with various players, along with NASSCOM, etc., I know are taking those steps. But we need to accelerate this at scale. And the second, which I would always believe, that it is artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Real intelligence is still the human, and all the panelists talked about.
Correct.
So which means judgments, character, business outcomes still needs to be human. So that's where the skilling game, in my view, becomes most important. India has always done that.
Yes, and NVIDIA's Jensen Huang is also saying that AI is not replacing tools. AI is only using tools. Sandip, you agree with that perspective. So would you put this down as a temporary panic that is going to stabilize, or do you think there is this structural revaluation of the tech industry that is going to take place soon, and we're going to see the outcome of it?
No, so I absolutely agree with Raja on this. In my view, we are doing everything that is required. Our leaders are great. All the software companies are run by very, very competent people. We have great talent pool. And as I said earlier also, last 25 years, I have done a lot of research on this. We are second to none. We are the best in the world when it comes to software services. Only thing is, I believe that, we have to now also, try to get those resources, the PhDs who can write LLMs. It is a very, very rare species in the world. It will be less than 3 digits today also. We have to get few of them, or we have to, allow some of our best people from the IITs and all to evolve to that level. I think we need our own lot of people in LLM. That is something which we have to build. Otherwise, I think we are perfectly there. But you have to brace for low growth for some time.
Right.
I won't say that we will grow very fast in next few years. It will be tough because there is an effort cut. How will you fulfill 20-30% effort cut so quickly? It takes time, right?
Right. So at the end of the day, Anthropic's move is not just another tech launch from everything that you are saying. It's a mirror. It's a mirror that has been held up to an industry that must now choose between panic and reinvention. And that old playbook is clearly slipping. The new one is still being written. And how India's tech ecosystem is going to respond in the next few quarters is going to well define the next decade. I'm going to be watching that space very keenly, as I imagine you are as well. But thank you, Sandeep, Jamila, Dhruv, Raja, thank you for joining us with your perspective. The conversation is just about beginning and the industry is already feeling the tremors right now, as we saw in the markets. But we'll keep tracking the story as it unfolds. Thank you very much. And with that, it's going to be a wrap on this edition of The Big Question. Of course, they keep rising, but this is an important one for the kind of meltdown that we saw in the markets today. It really begs the question, where are we going with AI and the technology that it brings down? Is it going to take away our jobs or not? It keeps coming back over and over again, and we'll keep finding the answers. But for the moment, that's where we're leaving it. Thanks indeed for joining us on The Big Question.